Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning.
Oh, hi everybody, Ezra Levant here. How you doing? It's January 23rd. Pleasure to be back here. As you know, I sit in this chair every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. My friends Sheila Gunn Reid and David Menzies are here Tuesdays and Thursdays. We give you the news of the day that's a little more informal than our produced shows. And on Monday, one of the fun things is we catch up of the events over the weekend. And lately, what's been happening over the weekend has involved Rebel News itself. We like to cover the news that happens out there, but sometimes because of our style, or because of our substance, or because we're the only people looking at certain controversies, our reporters and us become the news. That happened to me last week. You might recall when I received two conviction notices in the mail. I was convicted and fined, and I wasn't even invited to the trial. I didn't even know it was happening. By Elections Canada for my book, The Libranos. So now that's a story we would cover if it was happening to someone else writing a book about Justin Trudeau and getting $3,000 in fines. Boy, we would cover that story if it was someone else, but it actually happened to me. So we covered it too, and we asked for some help because we're going to appeal those fines, and we're actually going to challenge the constitutionality of the law. So that was me on Thursday or whatever day it was. On Saturday, there was a protest, as there is every week in Toronto, against the lockdowns, and police were on their worst behavior yet. They were abusive, they were breaking the law, they were assaulting people, and incredibly, they didn't know the law at all, and admitted as much on camera, and we'll get to that in a second, but before we do, I just need your help to get a few more viewers watching. The reason I say that is I want to show you some incredible footage, but we only have 800 people watching right now. Can you do me a quick favor and share this video? Just go to share and click on it, and if you can go to the like button, I think that helps too, I'm told, I'm not sure. So if you could just give me 1 second to help with that and gather a few more folks here. But while folks are gathering, I want to tell you some breaking news. I do some investigations. As you know, we're interested in things in Canada. We're based here in Toronto. We have reporters in Calgary, Vancouver, Edmonton, Cobourg, etc. But I follow the foreign affairs, and I have made a discovery about the People's Liberation Army Navy. China may be using the sea to hide its submarines. Very crafty. All right, we got a few more folks watching. That was a little lighthearted break, but I want to show you something that is most serious and not amusing at all. And we had a staff meeting today, and we did, in fact, decide we're going to sue. And we will keep you posted when we do, because our reporters were assaulted just by covering the protest. Our reporters were not protesting. Our reporters were not carrying signs. They were not chanting. They were not arguing or debating. Our reporters were pointing cameras and pushing the record button, gathering the footage that they would then turn into news reports. And police didn't like that because of two reasons. First of all, they don't like any coverage of lockdown protests because they follow the orders of John Tory, the pro-lockdown mayor. And number two, I think the police know that our approach to the, so they don't like any coverage at all, and they know that our approach is sympathetic to the lockdown protesters. And finally, we are not afraid to show police brutality itself. So they go for our reporters. I think we had 6 people there on Saturday, and they assaulted 2 of us. So without further ado, let me show you some video of that here. Let's look at the first one.
It's not exempt. Can you say that on camera?
The media is exempt, but it's like CP24 and stuff like that, right? So
what's the difference between me and CP24?
I'm not sure, sir.
Say
You
it
just
on
got to
camera.
keep moving, right? That's all you got to do. Just
What's
keep.
the difference between me and CP24?
I'm not sure what your company is.
If
or
you're
where
not sure,
from.
then why are you making assumptions then?
You just got to move. Everybody's got to move. That's it.
Go ahead and go tell CP24 to go move.
You just got to move, sir. We're cautioning you right now, right?
cautioning you.
We're cautioning everybody.
Protest? Does a charter mean anything anymore? Or is it a piece of paper?
Hey, don't touch him! Do not touch him! Don't touch him! He's media. Do not touch him! Don't touch him!
We're on a public square, officer.
Summertime, you allowed for Black Lives Matter protesters. You didn't break it up to knee to them, and yet,
Thank you for backing up. I appreciate your
with all due
cooperation.
respect, this is the public square.
We have
This is Toronto. This is not North Korea.
We have trespass notices under this Dundas Square.
Trespass noticing in the
They are giving trouble to David on Dundas Square. I need assistance.
Thank you, folks. Please disperse.
Guys, you need to disperse and caution you already, right?
We're not part of the protest, officer.
We realize that, but because under the Emergency Measures and the Civil Protections Act, because there's a remain at home order, so you're only supposed to be out here if you for exercise or if you're walking.
another, guys.
And this social distancing.
We asked
as
you
well.
already about
So,
that, right?
if
We
you go
have
for
a
a
charter
walk-
right officer to practice journalism, and we're on a sidewalk.
I know we're asking you is to keep the distance.
I just explained to you your caution, okay? So as I said, if you're talking about whatever media credentials or whatever that you're discussing, we understand that. That's why I cautioned you. Now, if you want to sit here and stand shoulder to shoulder, not doing anything, and not discussing whatever your work is,
We were discussing until you came up.
So then, if you refuse to go 6 feet apart, we will issue a ticket. That's all I said to you. That's all I cautioned you. Look how close we understand.
That shows the police, especially at the beginning, telling Efron, I had a video, that he is not allowed to report, but CP24 is. Now, obviously, he's just making that up. That's illegal for police to ban any reporter, let alone for him to be the arbiter of who's a reporter and who is not. That showed the police repeatedly lying. There is no rule against protests anywhere in Canada. There may be rules against gatherings of a certain size, but there's no rules against protests. And of course, we weren't protesting. You notice that our journalists had cameras and microphones. They were reporting on protests. So there's no rules against reporting on protests either. That was a good clip. Thank you for that, Justin. But the clip I would like to show is of police pushing our people. I think there was one that showed Efron being pushed and some protesters saying, hey, don't touch him, he's media. But we have other footage. So what we showed you there is probably not enough to sue on because it's just police lying. And I should tell you that it's not against the law for police to lie. If they're under oath, it's against the law for them to lie. But part of a policeman's toolkit of non-lethal force is to lie, to tell people whatever is necessary to get them to do things. And sometimes just the presence of a police officer, especially if they're physically large with a commanding voice and some personality and charisma, you, disperse. You know, sometimes just saying that is enough for people to comply most of the time. But, and a cop saying you're not allowed to be here, that's a lie, but that's, you know, I don't think you can sue someone for lying. But when police then move from lying, of course reporters are allowed to be there, to acting on their lies in a way that, for example, is an assault. Now that is something to litigate. So I think we've got some footage of our people being assaulted by police. Let's take a look at that now.
Step back! Step back! Step back! You can record, but step back! Don't touch me! No! Step back! I said step back! I'm fucking 6 feet away! There he is! Stay there! Back off! Back off! Move off!
Now, that guy on the ground was not a rebel reporter, but the guy filming, I think that was Efron was. Now, that didn't quite show it. I think it might have been footage from Alex that had the wider view. Or maybe it's on Mocha's feed. But that showed one view, but it was very close view, and it was from Efron's camera. So it didn't really show how far he was away or what the police were doing to him. Can we go on Mocha's feed or Efron's feed? In fact, frankly, I think Mocha had probably the most of the footages, and I wouldn't mind just going through his tweets just one after the other, the video tweets, that is. Because what I've managed to show you so far is that police were out there in force, that they were telling people to leave, that they were lying and saying that we couldn't be there but other media could. Then they later lie to the other media and say they have to leave. All of that is disreputable and disgraceful to the Toronto Police Force. But I want to show you the assaults. I wouldn't sue a cop for lying, but I would sue a cop for pushing our people around. Take a look.
Oh no. Back up.
Yeah, so this is the key one. So the fella in the green jacket with the camera there on the right, that's Efron. And he's filming the police brutality. And look at it, they hit him, and then they hit him again, and then they block him. You can't hit a reporter for reporting. So one more time, you can see Efron on the right there with the camera. Efron's on the right, he's in the green jacket, and then he runs. Got the camera, he's running, and he's not interfering at all. The cop comes up to him, pushes him. Yeah, that's called assault. And I don't go for that. I don't go for that against anyone, but I don't go for that against journalists. I don't go for that against our journalists. Do we have other, that was from Mocha's feed, is that right? Okay. Are there more things on either Mocha's feed or Alex's feed or Efron's feed? Because on Saturday, I sure seem to find a lot of things that I was retweeting. What I'm trying to demonstrate, and then we'll go to the police saying to CP24. CP24 is, either CP24 or City News or something like that. Really, they're all owned by the same company, aren't they? I think City News is owned by Rogers, which is a company that John Tory, the Toronto's mayor, used to run. So they're very obedient when it comes to the lockdown. They're pro-lockdown. They're just a propaganda arm of the lockdown side. But police just saw them, and these police are lying and saying that journalists are banned under the lockdown. Just give your head a shake for a second. How could you possibly think that? I don't know if any real cop would think that. I mean, it sounds like you missed all of Police Academy. But if you actually do believe that, that's a problem. Or maybe you were just told that in your briefing because the mayor says, I want to knock some heads. I want to see some heads roll. I want to see people flat on the face on the pavement. I want to humiliate my opponents because they're just not submitting. So here's some more footage that Justin is signaling to me.
No longer free! No longer free to protest!
You can record, buddy. Just get off the street, close and get
Sure, man, no problem.
You can record all day, no worries.
Cheers.
That's your right. Just get a voice of space, okay?
Yeah. I got you.
You don't want to part of that. My friend, don't follow me here, eh?
Well, I'm working with the team over there, so I don't know why I can't go in.
I'm gonna bring him out too, right there.
There it is. There it is. Look at them go after Efron. Look at that.
Do not touch me! Don't touch me!
Shame on you too. Shame.
Now, you never want to punch a cop, because that's when it gets serious. That's when five guys jump on you, smash you, taser you, shoot you, kill you. So you never want to punch a cop. Don't do it. If anyone else were to physically, like Efron there, you saw he was following along. So I think that was filmed by Alex. And in the beginning, you can see Efron's there in the green jacket. So he's not obstructing anyone. In fact, he's behind everyone. So how could he be obstructing? And then two cops break away, push him away, push him away, push him, push him, push him, and then they shout at him, and then they push him, push him, push him. Why are they pushing him? Why are they assaulting him? He's not even near anyone. Why is that cop assaulting him? Now, if that was a private citizen doing that, you might be tempted to act in self-defense. If someone is attacking you, you have the right to defend yourself with reasonable force. You wouldn't kill someone for pushing you or punching you, but you would have the right to defend your person. Again, do not do that with a cop who's got a gun. And that person at the end looked like a lady cop. Just the pint-sized nature of the cop, I couldn't tell. I think that's like a 5'2" cop or something. So the trouble with some really, really small cops, who were usually women, when they lowered the standards for policing, like it used to be you had to be like 6 foot tall, 200 pounds, or whatever it was. The reason they brought those standards in, actually over 100 years ago, it was because policing was so political and partisan. The mayor would just, this is in New York I'm talking about, the mayor would just hire all his friends. So after every election, the police would change. And just to bring some sort of competence, some sort of merit, they would say, all right, we can't stop the police from hiring their friend's family, but can we at least have someone who's sort of fit and sort of tall and sort of strong? So they brought in these standardization of physical fitness tests, height, weight kind of thing. Those were all removed to let women into the police force. It's just a fact. And so you have these 5'0" women in the police force, and we saw this in the case of Ocean Weisblatt, the 21-year-old hockey player in Calgary who was on an outdoor rink, and two women cops were just like shouting at him and swearing at him, and they didn't have any charisma or command, so he was just, what? And like he was, no one would be tired. It would be like a yip, 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 as opposed to, rawr, you know. And so they tried to knock him down, and they couldn't. And then they pulled out their tasers. Oh, wow, effing taser you. And that's the problem when you have weak, small cops through affirmative action. Those affirmative action quota hires, gender hires, they don't have the command. Like you saw, there was a really big cop there that was talking to our David Menzies. You got a 6'5", 200 and something pound cop barking orders. Like I say, that's the charisma of a cop. He's shouting, he's lying, he's pointing. You're probably going to comply just out of fear. But you got some 5'0" cop. It's not going to work. And the problem with that is that Efron was wisely compliant. Like I say, never punch a cop. But if someone else would just ignore that cop, and if that 5'0" gender quota higher cop tried to push them, and someone just didn't move, what's that cop going to do? She doesn't have the authority, like the personal authority, the charisma, doesn't have the voice, doesn't have the royal jelly. So she reaches for her taser. She reaches for her gun. Because whereas a 6-foot-something male cop who can do a push-up or two doesn't need to go for the deadly force right away, a 5'0" cop does. That's a problem. That's a problem when police lose the respect of the citizenry, as is happening, and when you have gender quota cops who often have something to prove. They got a chip on their shoulder. They know they were only in there to meet some quota. So I'm glad that our people did not push back, because that would be tempting, but don't do that. So we're going to sue because our people were assaulted. Do we have the imagery of Mocha being assaulted also? Maybe from his feed or something. If you can find it, please do. So they assaulted Efron several times. You can see that. I'm pretty sure they assaulted Mocha too. If we can get the footage, we will. So an assault is an assault, and we're going to sue for assault. We're suing several police forces right now. We're suing the police in the Greater Toronto area called the York Regional Police. They threw David Menzies to the ground when they were protecting Ron MacLean from questions from David, and they just shoved David down. So we're suing the York Regional Police because you can't have thugs, bullies, criminals, really, in wearing a badge or carrying a gun. That's very dangerous. A policeman has to be in control of his emotions and not get violent and not lash out because they're embarrassed. And the cops in York Regional Police lashed out at David, and so we're suing because they threw him to the ground. Same thing in the state of Victoria in Australia. The police there, out of the blue, apropos of nothing, threw our favorite reporter, Avi Yamini, onto the ground. He couldn't even believe it. He sort of laughed when they said, "You're under arrest." Like, he literally, his first reaction was, "What?" And then they slammed him to the ground. So we're suing them there. And we will be filing a lawsuit against the dirty cops at the Toronto Police Service. And they are rapidly becoming the worst police force in Canada in terms of police brutality. I don't know if you remember this, but a couple weeks ago, they arrested some young guy named Moses Damien, just a young guy who actually is in a police family. I think both his mom and another family member were like in some way with the police force. He was just walking to get a tea at a tea shop, which is legal, by the way, and he was slammed against the car, physically assaulted, screamed at by the cops, put in a cop car, put in a cell, and I'm guessing the humiliation and the shame of this being from a cop family, yet being treated like a criminal for doing nothing wrong. Apparently in the jail cell, he first had thoughts of suicide, and then cops sort of said, "Get out of here," and he killed himself. So I think that can probably be connected. I don't have all the facts at my fingertips, but if I was the family, I would absolutely sue. I don't think that was the Toronto Police. I think that may have been another police force. I would absolutely sue them for manslaughter, second-degree murder, whatever. These police are acting like thugs. And for some people, they push back. Some people just roll with it. Other people have committed suicide. I believe that the death of Moses Damien is on the hands of these out-of-control police. So I hear we have another angle of Efron being assaulted. Again, Efron was wearing the green, sort of, what's that color green called? Sort of like a camo. Yeah, it's a camo green. Like it's a nice warm jacket, and he had a camera, and take a look at this.
Get off the road, eh? Step back. There he is. Stay there.
Yeah, I think it was the gender quota higher. They don't trust her to actually subdue the man. They put 5 men subduing that man, but they send the gender quota affirmative action cop to harass the journalist. It's sort of weird. So I was watching this. I wasn't from my phone. I wasn't on the scene. But there was a couple other journalists there, not a lot. We had 6 people there. And one of them was with City News, which is a local TV station in Toronto, originally founded by the great Moses Znaimer. Now it's owned by Rogers, just a soulless corporation, absolutely supports the lockdown. And the cameraman was told by one of these cops that he's not allowed to be there. Take a look at this.
Essentially, is that media at this point in time, there's not essential service right in the square, so we can't have you come and gather and stay for a while and loiter because unless you're out for an essential reason, which is grocery shopping, going to the doctor, things along those lines.
So you're telling me media is not essential service?
That is under information that I was provided that I'm acting on today. That is the information that I was given.
So I'm not allowed in the square right now?
Yes, sir.
When did that become a thing? So I'm just for my own edification.
I can't tell you the exact date that started or anything like that. I'm just telling you on the information that I've provided and that I'm acting on today is not the information I was given, okay?
Can I have your name and badge number, officer?
Yep, you can see my name right there.
Can you just get a quick close-up of it there, if you don't mind, sir?
There you go.
Okay, so you're telling me I have to leave the square? What happens if I don't leave the square?
Then I will be giving you the ticket, okay?
Okay.
All right, so I'm cautioning you right now and I'm giving you the opportunity to leave on your own admission or you will be fined, okay?
Yeah, that's not a thing. That's not, protesting is not illegal, and reporting on protesting is not illegal. And journalism has always been an essential service under Ontario law. I know that, going back to March when the first emergency order was brought in, but that has been superseded. There is no more total ban on wandering about. You don't need to be part of any particular profession. That cop was spouting BS. I don't know if he was just making it up. Like I say, cops lie, and I know this sounds amoral, but I think lying is an important law enforcement tool. I know that sounds amoral or unethical, but if you are an ethical cop dealing with a bad person, if you can use like a Jedi mind trick, if you can tell him some BS to get him to leave, to get him to climb down from a crime, I think it's actually moral to lie to a criminal if that tool would work instead of a more extreme tool like a taser or your fists or a gun. You know, it's never a perfect world out there. If you're a cop, I can imagine it's very hard. And if you say, well, I could lie to this guy and get him to leave, that's probably going to be a better outcome than shooting him or stabbing him, or cops don't stab, tasering him. So that cop was lying. I don't know if he knew he was lying or just BSing. There's this great book called On Bullshit. Did I ever give you a copy of that? You know, it's like this big. It's this great little book, and it's not one of those joke books that's just like empty or something. Like, you know, there's some novelty books that are just like The Wisdom of Justin Trudeau, and it's like 500 blank pages. That's not that. On Bullshit, it's been a while since I've read it. It's by a very thoughtful professor. I saw him speak in person. I was so impressed. He says, no, actually, there's a lot, and I'm not even using the word as a swear. I mean, he says there's many, yeah, that's exactly it. It's by Harry Frankfurt. He's a brilliant man. And he really explained, yeah, here, let me read the blurb there. You see that blurb? Yeah. One of the most salient features of our culture is there's so much bullshit. Everyone knows this. Each of us contributes his share. But we tend to take the situation for granted. Most people are rather confident in their ability to recognize bullshit and to avoid being taken in by it, so the phenomenon has not aroused much deliberate concern. We have no clear understanding of what bullshit is, why there is so much of it, or what functions it serves, and we lack a conscientiously developed appreciation of what it means to us. In other words, as Harry Frankfurt writes, we have no theory. Frankfurt, one of the world's most influential moral philosophers, attempts to build such a theory here, with his characteristic combination of philosophical acuity, psychological insight, and wry humor. It's a funny book. Would you agree with me? It's a funny book. That's why I buy it for everybody. Frankfurt proceeds by exploring how bullshit and the related concept of humbug are distinct from lying. That's an important thing. If bullshit can just be blah, 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 and it can actually be true and still bullshit. He argues that bullshitters misrepresent themselves to their audiences not as liars do, that is, by deliberately making false claims about what is true. In fact, bullshit need not be untrue at all. Like someone who's a bullshitter, someone who's just, Hey, how are you? You look like $1 million. Hey, aren't you looking? Hey, did you lose weight? That's bullshit, right? Rather, bullshitters seek to convey a certain impression of themselves without being concerned about whether anything at all is true. They quietly change the rules governing their end of the conversation so that claims about truth and falsity are irrelevant. Frankfurt concludes that although bullshit can take many innocent forms, excessive indulgence in it can eventually undermine the practitioner's capacity to tell the truth in a way that lying does not. Liars at least acknowledge that it matters what is true. By virtue of this, Frankfurt writes, bullshit is a greater enemy of the truth than lies are. Very interesting book. I think it's been a while since I read it. He talks about like the 7 kinds of bullshit or something. But you see the point? So I am of the view that a cop, an ethical cop, should use bullshit as their first line of defense. Oh, you can't be here. No, you're not essential. No, reporters can't be here. No, total lockdown. No, people with red hair, you saw the rules. People with green eyes can't be here. People between 6'2" and 6'3" are banned. Like, that's bullshit, right? That's bullshit. And what's the harm in a cop lying other than it lowers the reputation of the force in the eyes of the public? And as that little blurb says, as Harry Frankfurt would say, after a while you become someone to whom truth means nothing. It's a very interesting point. A liar knows the power of the truth, and so he deliberately deceives. Because he respects the truth and its power, he will lie to steal the power of the truth, right? A bullshitter just says whatever it takes to get through the moment. You're looking amazing. No, that dress doesn't make your ass look fat. You look wonderful. That's a bullshitter. How am I doing? That's a bullshitter. Most politicians are bullshitters. Many journalists are bullshitters. I'd say a lot of trial lawyers have to be bullshitters, especially if they have jury trials. But frankly, judges want to hear, Your Honor, you working out, Your Honor? You look amazing. How'd you stay so young, Your Honor? I think lawyers are bullshitters. So I don't really, but what happens when you're in a lockdown and you have a reporter covering police brutality and a cop bullshits? I don't even know if that cop's lying. I don't think that cop even knows what the truth is. I think he's just bullshitting to get that reporter to go away. And that's the distinction I make. So that's City News reporter complied with the bullshit. And again, it's probably wise not to physically push back against a cop because you'll get killed. But where's the fuss? Where's the Civil Liberties Association? Where's the Canadian Association of Journalists? Where's the pushback? There is none. There is none because civil liberties don't matter anymore if it's just some journalists covering an anti-lockdown protest. Now, there's a Black Lives Matter element to it. Oh, my God. So there's a difference between bullshitting, which we saw there, and assault, which we saw against Mocha. Actually, we only saw it against Efron. Do you have the assault of Mocha? Maybe it was last week? We got a lot of footage. We're compiling it because we want to have all our facts. And no, I understand Mocha's working on it, and it's just not up yet. I'm pretty sure I saw it on someone's Twitter feed this Saturday. It doesn't matter. You get my point. So I'm just trying to make the distinction between a cop just bullshitting, hey guys, you can't be here. Hey guys, there's a lockdown. Whenever there's a full moon out, there's a lockdown, you guys. Hey guys, I roll the dice, and if it's 7 or 8, if it's snake eyes, you can be out, or if it's box stars, otherwise, like that's bullshit, right? So the cop was bullshitting. Who cares other than his credibility, and the credibility of the Toronto Police Service falls another notch. But when they start manhandling you or woman-handling you, as in the case of that gender quota cop, that's when you sue. Because you don't want to punch back against a cop that's assaulting you. You'll be dead. But you want to sue. So we're going to sue. All right, let's read some super chats. Okay, well, you can send them on WhatsApp. When I say I want to move to Signal, I'm not saying for every bloody thing. I'm just saying I don't trust Mark Zuckerberg at the best at times, and now he's changing the privacy settings on WhatsApp. Like sending super chats ain't a secret or anything. Perfect. So, yeah, I just think that We're surely being spied on by the Toronto Police Service. How could we not be? They hate us. We know for a fact that the city is spying on us. David had that huge documentary he made a couple weeks ago, 300 pages of files that John Tory is keeping on us, including surveillance camera, all sorts of creepy, weird stuff there. So, yeah, it's not even a question, are we being spied on? We are, and we know that because we found out what they're spying on us through access to information. So I would just prefer to move to Signal just for anything that's not trivial. But anyhow, I haven't got your WhatsApp yet. Okay. You know what? I'll just read the ones I can find. Joyful Heart, $5. Last Monday, I asked if you could do a video of what you said about the Passion of the Christ and closing churches. You agreed. Can you do it, please? We did it. Did we do that? I think we did it. We did pull that clip out of the live stream, and I think we put it up as its own video. If Margaret's watching, maybe she could find that link and put it in the chat. So I think we actually did that based on your request. Maybe you just missed it, so perhaps we can just put that up now. Christina Pavlovska, hello again, $14. I love Patrick Moore's book, available on Kindle right now. We all have to wake up. Let's our children to be learning about the truth about climate change. Yeah, I like Patrick Moore so very much, and it was a delight to interview him. Yorgi, yeah, I see it now, thank you. Riffing around, $10. Ezra, I've had a kid in November 2019, and since the world has gone mad, Rebel is one of the only mouthpieces of truth out there. I want to fight to quash censorship. Can I work for you, please? Well, I didn't get that. Oh, and my phone's talking to me. So if I'm not being spied on here, my own phone's talking to me. Looks like another extremely important delivery has come. Okay. Justin tells me that we have started a new, he reminds me, I knew this, I just didn't know. We have started a new YouTube sub-channel because we were just posting too many things to our main channel. It was getting overloaded. Sometimes there was 10 or more videos a day. So we've started a channel called Rebel News Clips. So you see there's, there is Rebel News Clips. I guess we should really promote this more. I forgot about it. So you can see these are little outtakes from our longer shows. Is it a playlist or is it a whole channel? It's a whole channel. Okay. Yeah, you can subscribe to that one as well. So click on the videos, or click on the About. Click on the About. So how many subscribers does it have? And what are the other facts? So we've had it for a while. We're just repurposing it. We only have 6 million views on it so far. 37,000 subscribers. So if you go to Rebel News Clips, that's where you're going to get the shorties. Thank you for that. Kinda Ashamed to Be Human, $10. Canadians need to use their power. The perfect example of how powerful we are. Look how fast the White House was taken. A couple thousand people in a couple hours. Canada needs to use the internet. Now, what do you mean the White House was taken? Are you referring to the Capitol building? Because the Capitol building was a unruly mob that used violence and trespass, violence to property, smashed their way in. A cop died, 4 protesters died. So if you're referring to the Capitol, you're dead wrong. That should not be done. Not only was it wrong in itself, and obviously failed to do anything that the mob wanted to do, but of course it is a great and terrible moment that will be used to justify all sorts of infringements on our freedoms, like the Reichstag fire in Germany was very similar. So if that's what you mean, now you said White House, so maybe I don't understand what you mean. Bill Howie, $5. Your thoughts on Aaron Gunn running for BC Liberal leader? He'll change the party's name and move to the right like Sask Party and UCP. You should interview him again. You know what? I'm embarrassed. I'm being focused on so many things. I didn't know this fact. Did you know this? That's very exciting. We love Aaron Gunn. He'd be perfect for the job. I want to support him in every way I can. I'm not a member of any party, and I don't donate money to any party. But boy, do I morally support Aaron, and journalistically, he's going to be the most interesting thing going on out there. What a great guy. Oh, this is the best news I've had, and I'm sort of embarrassed that I saw his name come up somewhere, and I just didn't read the headline. The Potter Files, $10. Ezra, how can we take advantage of the absence of a Governor General? Mainstream media actually mentioned this could open discussion of a republic. Could someone with more knowledge and connections look into this? Well, the Governor General is simply the Queen's representative here. I would imagine that in the absence of the Governor General, the Queen herself would have all the authority because it's just her delegate. The position has been temporarily filled by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, or a Justice of the Supreme Court, I forget who. I think that's inappropriate. You don't put a part of the government, the courts are part of our government, above the government. That's inappropriate, in my view. But we absolutely do have that system in place. It doesn't depend on one physical person. MK Ultra, $5. I have zero trust for police. History attests to the fact they will always do what they're told by tyrants than what's right. I'm just so very sad that for 45 years, I was a unbelievably pro-cop zealot. Like, cops could do no wrong. And then for the last few years, I've been watching cops get really political, especially in the UK, and I've sort of really tried hard to stay super pro-cop. But watching police in Canada, the UK, and Australia absolutely become bullies and brutes has really shaken my faith in police. And I know it's not all of them, but my God. Can you grab that tweet I made from Holland, from I think it was Amsterdam? That fire hose. There was, I think it was an anti-lockdown protest in Amsterdam. Something to do with the lockdown of the pandemic or something like that. And police deployed a riot vehicle that had a water cannon on it. And I know what water cannons are. It's like it's a fire hose, really. Extremely high pressure, and it knocks you down. It's a non-lethal weapon, although of course you hit, if there's an 80-year-old with heart trouble and you knock them down with that non-lethal. So look at this, boom. Just two people walking, and that woman's head is smashed against that. Now, the tweet, Ian Miles Chong saw this tweet, and look what happened to the woman. Can you find his tweet right under mine? Or it was a woman, and by the way, she wasn't doing anything. She was just with another guy, walking slowly. I don't even think she was part of any protest. Absolutely targeted. Look at that. Just covered in blood. Just absolutely wrecked. Why did they do that? Why did they do that to her? Look at that. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Thugs. Who's the thug there? Who's the criminal there? Does it matter that the one doing the assault with a weapon there was wearing a uniform and the one who was assaulted was not wearing a uniform? Is that all that matters? Erica H., $5. Is there any legal way to physically avoid being illegally arrested at a protest and stand up against being detained, going to jail? My advice remains, do not resist police by force. You will get killed. And if you don't get killed, you will be severely injured. And as soon as you resist police, it moves from them being the criminals, if they're assaulting you, to you being a criminal. And you're never going to win that. So you must comply physically. You're going to lose. They're the biggest gang in town. I used to know a cop in Edmonton. He was actually a pint-sized guy, and he said he wasn't afraid of anything because he was part of the biggest gang in town. And in a moment's notice, he could have endless reinforcements. So even that little gender quota, affirmative action hire that was pushing Efron around, you can't beat her in a physical fight. First of all, she's got a gun. But second of all, even if she's a weakling who doesn't know anything or have any skills, the rest of her gang members will just kill you. So my advice is never resist arrest. Try to survive until you can get to safety, and then sue the living daylights out of them. Brackathor, $5. I've found many cases where citizens' right to resist an illegal arrest by cops has been upheld by courts. What's your advice and or opinion on this? Well, first of all, I'm skeptical that you found many such cases. And even if there is a legal right in abstraction, that don't help you if you're dead. Jeffrey Cap, $20. The 70% plus who favor abolish Governor General didn't think of how you can't do that without completely interrupting how government operates in Canada and how a government is chosen and put into place. All for one bad apple out of 29 since 1867. Oh, I think there's been more than one bad apple. I think Michael Jean was awful as well. And how can you be a Quebec citizen, a French citizen and a Canadian Governor General? It makes no sense at all. Just terrible, terrible appointments lately. Shane M, $5. Star reports 19-year-old dies after corona. No mention it was suicide. First person under 20 in Ontario to pass from the virus. Complete lie, complete propaganda. This isn't about the virus anymore. It hasn't been for a very long time. It's about control. Yorgi, $5. Speaking of BS, it's my birthday today, and thank you, Rebel News, for being around in times of insanity. Thank you for that, Yorgi. Appreciate your support. Kind of ashamed to be human. I was talking about our power. Use voice instead of violence, but we have the same power. We need to use it without the violence. Okay, I accept that. Joyful Heart, just wanted to say thanks and sorry. I just saw the video on the Passion of the Christ, etc. I did miss it. Very, very grateful to you. Oh, you don't have to be sorry. I forgot about that new Clips channel too. I think we were just overwhelming our main channel. I mean, I guess you could put up 15 videos a day. But I just think that's too much. There's some reasons why we don't want to do that. So now you got 2 Rebel channels to follow. Lisa Constantini, $7. Thanks, Lisa. All right, it's 12:47. Let's just see how we're doing here. Oh, I want to show you in Montreal. Boy, they just don't like those Orthodox Jews. Same thing in New York. They really picked on the Jews. Here's some videos sent to us from Montreal. They would have these synagogues, and they would have 20, 30, 40, in one case 50 cops raid the synagogue. In Toronto, they raid barbecue restaurants. In Montreal, apparently, they raid the Jewish synagogues. Let me know when we got that vid, or I think even some still pictures. Take a look.
I don't know, maybe some more. I just arrived here.
Okay, so what's going on here? Was there a terror attack or something?
I think you know what's happened here, sir.
No, I'm asking you.
Yeah, you know, sir.
Excuse me? Is there a media relations officer?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
So what's going on here? Why is there like 50 police cars? You don't know?
I don't know.
Okay, maybe you know. What's going on here, sir?
You probably see it by yourself.
Hmm?
You probably see it by yourself.
I see 50 police cars and a building with few lights.
Sir, we cannot give you interviews to press.
No? Okay.
We cannot give you interviews.
Is there no media relations officer?
You cannot stay in the street.
Yeah, I will move as soon as this car moves.
Yeah, so move
I will. So you can't be...
That's our friend Yankee out there. I like that question. Is there a terrorist attack? 50 police cars. No, they're just looking for Jews. My advice is check in the attic. You know what? Every week, Theresa Tam, the public health officer that Trudeau has outsourced all of his judgment to, every week she publishes a detailed statistical summary of the virus. And it's very long, and I'm quite certain that very few reporters read it through and read it with any understanding. And truth be told, there's a lot of BS in it, but there's this one chart that I look at every week. And I'd like to show it again. I might have shown this a week ago. Thank you. So if you go to my Twitter feed, you can find this full report yourself. I think this is on page 12 or something. Total number of COVID-19 outbreaks, cases, and deaths by outbreak setting in Canada as of the 16th of January. Now, that was over a week ago, but it takes some time to compile this. So this, I promise you, is the latest information. It was only put out, I think, yesterday. So do you understand what this is? This tells you how many outbreaks, cases, and deaths there are by setting. And you can see what they mean by setting. You see that on the left-hand side. They say what they mean. Community, corrections, shelter, congregate living, so that's jails or homeless shelters, food, drink, retail, healthcare, industrial, including farms, long-term care and retirement residences. You can see right there, and move to the right there, you've got 3,538 outbreaks, more than everything else combined, I think, or almost more. 56,893 cases from that, and 10,860 deaths from that. And just in the last 7 days, you've got 187 outbreaks. So you can see that long-term care, and if you go up a little bit, healthcare, that's 592 deaths. So this is just outbreaks. There's some that are not based on outbreaks, they're travel or whatever. But so you have 10,860 deaths from long-term care facilities, 592 deaths in hospital settings, 159 in jail, and I'm not exactly sure what community means. I got to look that up again. Oh, that means they don't know where it's from. But you see that there's really nothing, like this is in the entire country, in the entire last year. So look at industrial, including farms. You've got thousands of farms, thousands of factories in this huge country, 37 million people, and you have a grand total of 18 people who have died in every farm and factory in the country. That's nothing. I mean, of course, it's 18 people, and we're very sad they're gone. But that's nothing, statistically speaking, compared to, I think there were 10 deaths by lightning strikes in Canada last year. Look at food, drink, and retail. A grand total of 3 deaths in this whole country in the entire year. 3. I bet there's been more deaths from leprosy in Canada. Well, I know that's not true because I checked. But I had to check before 3 deaths? And look at personal care. Personal care refers to barbers, nail salons. I'm trying to think if that includes gyms, but not a single death in the entire country. And you'll see on the left-hand column, outbreaks, like only 41 out of thousands, just very few outbreaks, no deaths. School and child care, 0. 0 deaths. And then other. So food, drink, retail, personal care, schools, those are all the things that are closed. And there hasn't been a single death in those departments, in those operations, this whole time. Population, indigenous communities, Mennonites, reserves, small city outbreaks. Yeah, my point is they're shutting down the healthy people. You're not supposed to quarantine healthy people. You're supposed to quarantine sick people. Not sure who needs to hear that. Teleco 101, $25. Hey, Ezra, just want to say thank you for your honest reporting. You continue to be the last bastion for hope for truth. Seekers combating the fake news. What do you think about the globalist agenda for the Great Reset? Well, I've talked about it in a number of shows, and the biggest fake news about the global reset, the Great Reset, is that it's fake news. That is literally the name that the World Economic Forum gives to their plan. So no one has made it up. It's not a conspiracy theory. It is a conspiracy fact. And the conspirers are at the World Economic Forum. And their keynote speaker this year, I think he just spoke yesterday or today, was Xi Jinping, the president of China. This is not a conspiracy theory. It's happening in Davos, Switzerland at the World Economic Forum. Larry Jackson, $5. What is your opinion on the Brit Commonwealth making a comeback and becoming more like an economic zone like North American free trade? I've heard that at Kanzuk. I like the Anglosphere. I'd throw India in there too. I've always been a fan of the Commonwealth and the Anglosphere. I just think don't exclude America. I'm worried whenever I see Kanzuk and I say, well, why are you pushing the Americans out? I understand they're not part of the Commonwealth, but they're a key part of the West. True North Strong and Free, $5. Ezra, I love you guys. I can't wait to go pick up my Rebel gear today. George Orwell shirt, 1984 shirt, and I hope a few cops see me wearing it too. Yeah, you know what? Our store is awesome. Can we look at, and it's at rebelnewsstore.com. Rebelnewsstore.com. I'm so excited. Just that simple shirt there is great, right? I like the COVID 1984 ones. It makes you think. Gulag, that's a great one. Fascist book. It's true, though. Boy, did I call it or what? George Orwell. Stars in his eyes. Trudeau. What else we got? Patriot. You know what? The left is trying to make it morally repugnant to call yourself a patriot. Make Canada great again. You know, I trademarked that back in 2015. The megaphone, I like that one. Those ones are sort of artsy. MAGA, Patriot. I've got the one with the little megaphone. Socialist distance. I find that so funny. What do we got? Keep going. Let folks eat. Cherry cheesecake. Oh, that guy makes me so mad. Trudeau, no. There's the Libranos. Oh, Trudeau hates that one. The megaphone, Rebel News. I like the one on the right there, just Rebel. I really like that one. Keep going. Megaphone, I like the megaphone. Rebel News, and then the white t-shirt. And we have that in different colors too. I like the black t-shirt with the red Rebel. Look at that. Look at that. That's a great hat. I have that in navy blue. I have the one with the megaphone in navy blue. We got them in black also. Yeah, that one that girl's wearing in the bottom right, I have that hat. I have that. And I wear it because we got a puppy and go out and walk the dog. I throw that hat on. Because I show up and, you know, people say, who's that eighth of a ton guy with the glasses? I don't know who he is. When I put on the megaphone hat, they say, oh, that's Ezra of Rebel News. So, because it's really low key. I'm trying to make a joke. It's not really working. I apologize. I have that hat, is all I'm saying. And I love to wear it because it's subtle like me. I tried to make a joke there. Would you forgive me? It was a stupid joke. It didn't work. Make Canada great. Rebel, just great. Wexit for our Western viewers. I like this one. I want to tell you, I had Adamson barbecue Saturday and then leftovers on Sunday. It's amazing. Sorry for you guys outside the GTA. When you come to Toronto, one of the things that will make it less painful is going to Adamson's barbecue. It's the finest barbecue in Canada. I say that as someone who has eaten in 9 out of 10 provinces. The only province I haven't been to is Prince Edward Island. So there may be some amazing Texas-style barbecue place in PEI. I have not eaten that. But other than that, and I have also not been to Nunavut. But I've been everywhere else, and I'm ready to testify, even before he became politically famous, that Adamson's barbecue is the finest Texas-style barbecue in Canada. And I know Texas-style barbecue. I've gone all the way from Dallas to Midland. from Houston and Austin. Adamson Barbecue can hold its own even in Dallas. We have a great new addition to the store, I'm told. Oh, it's an ad. Okay, take a look. That's great. You know what? I forgot about that I'm exempt one. Maybe we skipped over. I wasn't looking at it. That's a really good one too. Okay, it's 1 o'clock. I got to whip through some of these here. Hugh Prendergast, $7. To be fair, I think Mikhail Jean renounced French citizenship she acquired through her husband. They were worse in recent memory. Okay, I accept that. You're right. Chris Skate, $20. Please tell me when nonviolence solved anything. Scottish killed the English to keep their freedom. The British killed the Germans to keep their freedom. Saddam, Osama, Gaddafi, and all the rest. Chris, we don't want a war of all against all. Life is nasty, brutish, and short, as Thomas Hobbes would say. We want to agree to a Leviathan, a social contract where we give a monopoly of violence to the state. We don't want to solve all our quarrels with violence. The trouble is we have to keep a sharp eye on the government to make sure they don't become the abusers, they don't become tyrants. And we have to make sure that as part of that social contract they stay neutral and nonpartisan. So the answer is not to say, well, they're breaking the rules, so we'll break the rules. The answer is to try and get back to the rules. But eventually things will fall apart too much, and people will, if they're driven out of the system, they will, we want to keep people in the system, so we have to reform the system. This is what I say to censors. They say, oh, we got to shut down him and him and him and him. They're too far right. Drive them out. Drive them off the internet. Drive them out of the political parties. Drive them out of their jobs. Drive them out of any contracts. Drive them out of their apartment. Drive them out of their bank. Marginalize them. Well, then what have you done? You've put them outside the system as sort of outlaw, where they have no choice then because they don't have the levers of our democracy. And so if their grievance still grieves them, what have you done to them but say, you must go rogue, you must go radical, for there's no place for you within the system. I believe you've got to pull people back in the system. Pull them back in the system. You've got to say, no, don't go rogue. Try and fix it. Try and fix it. I'm talking about the entire democratic system. I'm not talking about any particular political party. It makes me think of what Maajid Nawaz said. I wonder if you can find this quickly. Maajid Nawaz, Tommy Robinson. Tommy, of course, my old friend, founder of the English Defence League, then shut down the English Defence League when it became racist, became a journalist with us, left us, Tommy. His main motivator is the rape of indigenous British girls by men who are over 80% of the convicted rapists are Pakistani Brits. Muslim Pakistani men. That's just a statistical fact. And it's extremely hard to talk about that without being called racist. Maajid Nawaz happens to be a Pakistani Muslim man. So he can talk about it and no one's going to say you're anti-Pakistani Muslim, because he is that. And I don't know if you can find that clip. When he says we have basically, by us all shutting up, Tommy is, we've yielded the ground to Tommy. I don't know if you can find it. Basically, he says, because the entire establishment didn't talk about this issue, we left it to the Tommy Robinsons of the world to talk about it. And he's right, but there's one more link on that logical chain. Tommy talked about it. He didn't get violent about it. He didn't promote violence. He didn't promote law breaking. So even though Tommy himself was marginalized, he himself was holding people into the system a little bit, because there are people who follow Tommy, and most of them are normal concerned Brits, but some of them are further out there. But Tommy's implicit message was, don't give up. We can fix this through journalism, through the law. We can fix, don't give up, we can fix this. We can tell the truth and we can fix this. And Maajid Nawaz's point is, we pushed this issue out to Tommy because we didn't deal with it in the establishment. But my point is, don't push Tommy out. Don't silence Tommy. Don't silence guys like that, because he is the anchor that's holding, I don't know how many dozens, hundreds, thousands of people into the system, that if they were to say, well, what's the point? The system is completely rigged. It's a complete stitch up. You can't say anything, or you'll be deplatformed in every aspect of your life. And when you take everything away from a guy, push him completely outside the circle of civil society, why then you have created someone for whom violence, if not appealing, is the only thing to do. So my caution is, do not deplatform people who are trying to change the system. Debate them, disagree with them, refute them, rebut them, ignore them. But if you say, no, 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 we're not even going to let you talk, the trouble with that is they say, okay, fine, I won't talk anymore. Your choice. No, don't do that. Alex David Duke, $5 since Rebel News stopped Roku. I have not been able to watch. Need a how-to access step-by-step guide of Rebel News for non-techies to access. Alex, I'm so sorry to hear that. Can you send an email to info@rebelnews.com, and I will send that to Andrew to give you step-by-step on that. Sorry about that. We should probably put a how-to video up on a page somewhere. Lucky Monkey Gaming, $5. What about World Health Organization new criteria for PCR test that will reduce false positive? Will that free us from lockdown? I want to study that some more. Completely not surprised that they made that change, if that is in fact true. Because now that Biden's in power, New York, California, Illinois, they're all saying, oh, lockdown's over. Is the math different? No, it's just Biden's in the White House, so no need to foment a crisis. Bob Trustdale, $20, thanks. Bob Trustdale again, $10, thanks. The 11,689 total in the chart is not 19,000 as reported. Okay, I think that's the number of outbreaks. It's not the total number of deaths. I think that might be the distinction. One heavy hitter, $5. Esther, did you hear about London mayor candidate Brian Rose arrested and banned from lawful campaigning by police, mayor campaigning at the same time? No, I didn't hear about that. The world is so busy. I'm so focused on so many things, I don't get all the news. So thank you for that. I'll have to look into it. Alex again, how you doing? I was told to get a Google Chrome stick. Is this the only way to get Rebel from my phone? Rebel needs to get us non-techie more, thanks. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll send your note in and I'll have Andrew help you out. We'll get on the phone with you and talk you through it. I'm sorry about that. Got to get you your show. All right, it's 1:08. It's been a couple more super chats. Let me just quickly read those. Eric H, $2. Where's the Twitler shirts? I want one. Don't see it. I took that down for reasons of, for a variety of reasons. We could talk about that another time, but I'm sorry we don't have that anymore. 107 Catch 22, $4. Thank you very much for that. It's 1:08. Oh, one more just came in. Tim Rodnam, $5. How about a call and campaign for politicians and bureaucrats only get paid what people on CRB are getting while not at work and or laid off? Oh, I saw outrageous news out of the United Kingdom that MPs, who I think gave themselves a raise recently, are now giving themselves a bonus for working at home to, cover their internet and their heating or something, like they didn't have internet or heating before. The only people in the world who are getting a raise for working from home during a lockdown they themselves set up are politicians and bureaucrats. They're the worst, aren't they? All right, folks, that's the show for today. Until next time, on behalf of all of us, thanks for your support. Keep fighting for freedom. And I think we've got a dog video today. Yes, we do. Okay, here's the dog video, curated by Justin.